We are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, February 28th, the last day of February, which is pretty good timing. Not a leap year this year, right? When's the next leap year, Sam? Do you have any idea?
24, I think. I think it's
2024. Oh, was there a leap year
yeah,
last year?
2020 was.
Okay. Of course, 2020 was a leap year. 2020 had it
Got
all.
to get an extra day in that fabulous
Yeah,
year. Well, the
of
leap
course.
day actually was before shit hit the fan, so things
Yeah,
were
it
going
was.
swimmingly at that point.
Leap year cursed. Leap year cursed it. We'll put it that way. But no, yeah, recording the day after the Celtics got pounded by the Pacers, just squeaked out a win against the Pistons the day before that. See a lot of people on the timeline starting to freak out a little bit. I'm not too concerned. I'm not too worried. Obviously, it's not ideal to go wire to wire, close game with the Pistons and then lose to the Pacers. But the Pacers, as bad as they are, they've got a better rounded team now. And that's not an excuse. The Celtics are a better team than the Pacers. That's not what I'm saying. But they came to play. They made a lot of shots they don't usually make. And the Celtics were very clearly tired. They weren't putting in the same effort, the same hustle. And so those games happen on a back to back. They can't happen down the stretch, but I'd rather them lose this type of game now than in the depths of, March and April, in my opinion. But yeah, tough game. Just a tough one.
Yeah, if you're gonna drop a game, I mean, listen, it sucks in the context. I'm really all in on the standings climb. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm enjoying watching
Yeah.
the other team's scores and getting a nice little dopamine hits when the Celtics move up and they start to look more like the team that I felt like they should be this season. And they had me doubting for the first half, but they look
Mhm.
really good lately.
Yeah.
That game yesterday, this is Monday. That game yesterday, they just didn't have it. I mean, it happens. It's just one of
Yeah.
those days. And I am captain overreact. I don't think I'm captain the season's over, but I'm captain salty after a loss for sure.
I
Like I
know.
get
I
pissed.
I was very curious to see what the mood would be on this podcast, but I'm glad this is the direction it's going in.
Well, I mean, even if I was pissed, Jack, like I am pissed they lost, especially like I said, all things considered, the standings and tonight's a really good slate as far as the standings. You've got Toronto, Brooklyn, you've got Miami, Chicago, Milwaukee's in action against Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of different games where one team the Celtics need to lose is going to lose, and that's fantastic. It just would be more fun had they won yesterday. Then you'd have some real opportunity for a shakeup. But it really was. I mean, I watched the first half through and through, and I saw bits and pieces of the second half. I was at basketball myself, so I didn't get to watch the whole thing. It was one of those games where nothing was really going their way. I will say
Yeah.
they were lazy in the first half. There was a lot of threes that were shot.
Yeah.
They
Tatum
melt against
especially.
that damn zone. But Indiana was really hitting everything. I mean, Halliburton hit a prayer from half court. I'm pretty sure another one happened when I was not watching. Buddy
Buddy hit
Hield
a
had
hit a
one.
prayer. Yep.
Yeah. That is just, it's one of those days.
Mhm.
That guy, O'Shea Brissett, who I didn't even know who he was before the game, had 27 points. I mean,
He's good. He's not that good.
yeah.
So
What I saw Greeny tweeted 32% from three for the year. He had made three straight at the point of that tweet. Like
yeah.
three straight, meaning back to back to back possessions, not just he
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
to
yeah.
make three of his shots in a row. Three possessions in a row, he comes down and makes a three. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, some days you are just going to be, what is it? The fly versus the windshield wiper, and you're the fly. That's just what it
Yep.
was. And it doesn't mean they're any worse. You can complain about the Pistons game if you really want to, but I liked the Pistons game. I thought it was a nice parallel to the game they had before the break, right? They lost at home.
Yep.
They were in Detroit. Not that that really matters, but they were in a dogfight the whole time. The Pistons played them tough, which, I mean, you have to credit the Pistons. They played hard. It's not, I didn't
And
even feel like the Celtics played bad. Do you?
yeah. No, I thought they played fine. My thing is the Pistons are a bad team, but they are low key rolling right now. They're kind of playing the best
No, they
basketball
beat
they played all
Cleveland.
season, which is not saying much. And they beat the Hornets last night as we're recording this. Kelly Olynyk hit a
Well,
game winner.
Kelly, yes.
Yeah. The Hornets had no business being in that game, though. I watched most of it. The Pistons should have dominated them, but the
Good for
Pistons were the
them.
Pistons and Hornets hit some shot. But no, yeah, the Pistons have been playing well. They're playing hard. They're not an easy team to face in the sense that they'll beat you down, right? Isaiah Stewart's physical. You got guys down there like Corey Joseph's not afraid to scrap. And then, I mean, the Pacers, Goga Bitadze ran over Jaylen Brown. He wasn't
That I
too
did
happy
not
with that.
see. This is the thing I saw all the tweets about, though. Like, I guess Jaylen got a tech, and
He
then the
did.
refs said they were wrong after the game. Now, what
Yes, after
happened?
the game. So Jalen was in the post guarding Bitadze, and Bitadze kind of shuffled back and clobbered Jason, like not like
That's
front to
good.
front, but he kind of backed him down, and Jalen fell over. Probably should have been an offensive foul, but nothing was called. Jalen got up, shoved Bitadze in the back, got a tech for that. No call. It was a jump ball. And then after the game, apparently Jalen said, "Yeah, the refs told me they missed it. Sorry." Which I mean, it is what it is. Like refs are human. Like it sucks when they miss calls as quote unquote important as that. Um, they missed a call, and Jalen said, you can't let stuff like that go. That's how a game spirals. Which yeah, but the refs in particular weren't amazing in that game. I mean, Marcus and Udoka got techs in the fourth quarter too. Um, it is what it is. I mean, refs are human. That was a big miscall. Yeah,
How close did they
just
cut it in the fourth? What was the
um,
closest they got? Because I know when I was driving, so
look,
like I saw they were down 17, and then my friends were in the car. He said that's enough of that.
I know they got it to 11 at one point. I don't
It
know if
was
it got
definitely at
closer than
least
that.
it was at 8. I remember like looking on Twitter and people were saying it was to 8, but I don't know if I saw anything closer than that.
Okay, let me take a look. Fourth quarter, it was at 9 towards the start of the fourth quarter. 11. It got down to that's 9 still. I think it got down to 7. Excuse me, at one
Oh,
point. Yeah, it got down to 7 with 8 minutes left in the fourth.
yeah, it sucks.
Um, so there's that, and then yeah, then the Pistons. I mean, sorry, the Pacers just ran away with it at that
And
point.
they gave it a good effort.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily what you want to hear. And
Oh,
well, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. Jalen hit a 3, cut it to 7, then Heald matched the 3. They stole the ball on Boston's inbound, got a layup, and that went right back up to 12.
Oh
That
my
was
god.
ugly. Yeah. That was the
That would
ugly
have.
part.
I'm so happy. If there was any game for me not to be able to really watch like intently, like this sounds like it was the one. And I'm
It was just
sorry if you're
nothing was
listening and
going.
you're not getting the genuine reaction you might have hoped for me being angry. But I'm so happy I didn't have to put. I mean, I was angry watching the first half. If you want,
Yeah.
if that's any consolation, I did not like watching O'Shea Brissett make threes in a
And
row,
then
watching Halliburton not miss and hit the one from half court.
mhm. And then
I hate
immediately
that
after
stuff.
that, I'm pretty sure it was immediately after that, Pritchard missed a 3, rimmed out.
Hmm.
Rob got the rebound. Tatum missed a 3, rimmed out. Pritchard got the rebound. Smart missed a 3, rimmed out. It was just could not like nothing was falling. There was a cap on the rim. Like you said, it was just one of those nights, and those nights happen. Side note, because I know I talked it up a lot before the game. Tyrese Halliburton's really good. Tyrese
He always a
Halliburton's
good
really,
player.
really good. Hmm.
I mean, the Kings lost that deal, dog. I don't know how to. I mean, I know you like Sabonis. I don't.
I like
Partic-
Sabonis.
I don't dislike Sabonis. I just don't think he's worth the price
He's
that they were
not.
going to ask, which they obviously got because Halliburton rules. Heald's a solid
Mhm.
player. Like Halliburton is a very good player. Like,
He's gonna
make
be
no
an
mistake.
all-star at the very
Yeah,
least. He's
he's a good
filthy.
player, man.
Yeah. I mean, credit the Pacers. They played well. They made their shots. It is what it is. Jalen Smith looked pretty good too. Another guy you
That was
thought
my
about.
go. Give him Schroeder.
Hmm. But
And they
yeah,
got
in
him.
the grand scheme of things, moving on, you mentioned you were looking at the standings. Celtics are still 2 games up on the Raptors. So I'm not going to
Which
say
is
that's a
good.
comfortable lead, but
That
it's not
that's probably
terrible.
the most important thing. In all honesty,
Hmm.
like I love the idea of them like getting up into like home court, top 3 or whatever. I just like that. I think it looks good. I personally think that's where they kind of belong, not with the first half of the season, but I just feel like the
East
team's
is tough
capable
this
of
year, though,
that.
too. East
No, it
is
is.
also tough this year.
Absolutely
Yeah.
is. But it's more important that they're not in the play-in. Just don't want to put up with that.
Yes, they are 2 games up on the Raptors, 3 games up on the Nets, only 1 game behind the Bucks for 5th. So if the Bucks do fall to the Hornets tonight, that would help out the Celtics a little. They're 1.5 games behind the Cavs in 4th, and then they're 2.5 behind the Sixers, 4 games behind the Bulls, and then 5 games behind the Heat. I think 1 and 2 seeds riding on the line of out of reach at this point. Only 15 games left or so in the season, maybe 17
Yeah.
games, but
I
it'd
mean,
be
they do
very
play
tough for
those
them to get
teams
that
at the
high.
top again, but I mean, it goes both ways. It's not like you're guaranteed to win.
Mhm.
They're at the top for a reason.
Yes. So then let me ask you this. It's getting to the point in the season where we can start looking at playoff seeding a little bit in terms of matchups and who you want to play. And it's not a fun conversation because everything can shake up in a
Oh
matter
yeah,
of
it
days,
is.
so it's tough. But if you're looking at the way the standings are currently, you know, drawn out or sitting at, who would you most want to face in the playoffs and who do you want to avoid in the playoffs at all costs?
Okay. So I guess with the standings now, it doesn't look like they're going to fall into the play-in, and
Knock on
it
wood,
does
yeah.
not look like Brooklyn is going to be a team that they will play. But Brooklyn is my
Mhm.
number one answer. I don't want to play them.
I
KD is
don't wanna
supposed to
play it.
come back.
It's just KD. It's just KD. I just don't wanna play
Yeah,
Kevin Durant.
yeah. I don't like playing KD. It's no fun. He's, by the way, will be back Sunday. I'm pretty sure for that game at the Garden, of course. So that's
Love
no
to see
fun.
it. I mean, yeah, from a Celtics perspective, I don't want him to be hurt though. I like it when
Oh
KD's
no, no,
around.
no! I don't want him to be hurt, but
I
I
know, I
prefer
know, I
not to
know.
play
I'm just
against
saying.
him.
Of course, of course, of course. Um,
But okay, so
yeah.
Brooklyn's definitely a team I would not want them to play in the first round. I wouldn't want to play Milwaukee or Philadelphia either. I don't know about
Mhm.
Philadelphia yet. I'm still not sold.
My
I
it's
certainly
the
wouldn't
free
want to
throws.
watch them play
It's
Philadelphia.
just the free throws.
Yeah.
It's just they're gonna get to the line. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I watched the large majority of that Knicks Sixers game, and the Celtics are obviously a better defensive team than the Knicks, so you have to imagine they'd be able to contain it a little better. But we're talking Embiid took 27 free throws against the Knicks, so he'll get at
Yeah,
least
it's not
what,
okay.
15?
They need to do something about that. That dude, he's
Well,
massive, he's a unit, and he falls down more than anybody in the league.
I will
And I
say
like Embiid, but he falls down on nothing.
mhm. He draws fouls, and you hear announcers say it all the time. Drawing fouls is a skill, which at this point it is. And until the NBA changes the rules, you can't really blame players for doing that, right? Because like obviously you're gonna get to line, like that's just smart. Um, the Knicks are playing very physical. The Knicks are also just not a very good defensive team. Like they were throwing
Not a very
Mitchell
good team
Robinson
in
and
general.
they threw Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims at him. So I mean, I'm sorry, but that's
Game
just
was close for most of it, actually.
yeah.
They played him pretty tough.
RJ RJ Barrett is the key to that city. They need to
Good for
just
him.
they hand it to him. He just needs to be the guy there because they're a mess. Thibodeau needs to play the young guys and just let RJ Barrett work. In his last two games, he's averaging 16 free throws a night himself. So he he
Well,
needs
they
the
gotta
keys.
nip that in the bud.
He needs the keys. My dream matchup in the playoffs would probably be if the Celtics can climb up to 4 and Cavs fall to 5.
Oh,
Home
yeah,
court
that's
against the
ideal.
Cavs. That'd be the
Oh,
dream.
yeah.
And Cavs are a good team. It wouldn't be an easy series, but it would be probably the easiest out of the ones you're
Out
gonna
of
get.
all the teams you could play, they're the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe depends on how healthy the
They're
Bulls are.
they're the worst out of the 6, including the Celtics.
It depends on how healthy the Bulls are, I would argue. Because if they don't have
Okay,
Lonzo and
that's
Caruso
fair.
back by that point,
That's
I
fair.
think you can make the argument, but
I
it is what it
assume
is.
they would be healthy because there's still,
I
like,
do
2
too.
months before the playoffs.
I do too.
But
I
that's a fair
don't
point, but I think they are far and away the worst out of the 6. They just don't have the experience, really.
now the real ideal playoff thing. If the Celtics can somehow climb to 3, the
Yeah.
Cavs fall to 6, the Bulls stay at 2. That way you don't have to play Miami. Again, it's very
Yeah, you
niche,
avoid
but that's the
Miami,
dream.
Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. Imagine that. You're
That's the
absolutely
dream.
right. That is the dream. But
That has to
that
be the
again is
dream.
why I'm like, yeah, it's really important they keep winning these games. Like that's
It
why it
is.
stings even more because you have to get yourself to 3. And unlike 4 and 5, 3 is further away than those two. You're not within like a game and a half. You're 2.5 games. You need to put in the work.
I will say, if the Sixers manage to leapfrog the Bulls, though, I wouldn't mind the Celtics staying at 6 to play the Bulls. I wouldn't hate that either. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's a matter of where the Sixers get to. I don't want any
I
part of
think the Bulls are
Miami.
beatable. I think Cleveland's beatable. I think Miami might be beatable only because
I
I
want
mean
no
it
part of Miami.
you
I want
need
no part of Miami.
I personally would want to see more of a sample size first. Like, ask me at the end of the season after they've played the next match. They have one game left against Miami, right? Yeah, they've been to the Garden already, so they only have one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to see this last game. I want to see Miami actually at full strength. They beat them at really full strength the first time down in Miami, but then they came to the Garden with nobody playing for them. So I
Mhm.
want to see again. The Celtics take them on at full strength. See what you got there.
You
Miami
know
is no
what's
joke, But if it's one
Yeah.
of those things where the Celtics playing well, then that's fine.
What's crazy to me, I think I tweeted this out the other day. 1 through 8 in the East, obviously there's varying levels of like realistic, possibility, but like 1 through 8 are all good enough to come out of the East. I'm not like there's varying degrees of
Yeah.
possibility, but 1 through 8 are all good enough to come
Who's
out of the
7?
East. You cannot
Toronto?
Toronto,
I don't know if
Brooklyn.
Toronto's good enough.
I'm
Brooklyn
saying
is.
varying levels of possibility, right? Like if you look at the chart, Cleveland and Toronto are probably lower on that tier. Like they're probably not going to. But if you told me Toronto is going to go on a run, they get to play the Cavs, then they go to war with the
That's
Bulls.
fair.
Like what I'm saying, like there's a pathway for every team.
I
Like
don't know. I don't buy that.
Toronto is
I
top
think
three.
Brooklyn can as a low seed.
Toronto
Yeah.
is top three teams I don't want the Celtics to play in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I want no part of Toronto.
That's
I think
another one
Toronto
where
would get the
I
Celtics in
want to
trouble.
see the next game. I mean, the Celtics are up 2-1, I think. Celtics won up in Toronto, right? When they went
I
up to
think so.
Toronto, I think they beat them.
Yeah, I think they've beat Toronto twice outside of that first home
Yeah.
game
Well, I
stinker at
was
the
at
very
that
start of the
one,
year.
of course.
My thing, the Heat, the Nets, the Sixers in Toronto scare me the most. I know that's like half the conference. Um, the Bucks don't scare me as much because the Celtics play them so well. The
Yeah.
Cavs and the Bulls are like meh. Curious to see how they play the new look Philadelphia 76ers.
Which we won't get to
It,
see
yeah.
until a playoff series if it
Um,
happens.
what would be the most entertaining series for you?
Probably
Like
Milwaukee.
realistically. Okay,
It wouldn't be
yeah,
Philly because they'd be shooting a bunch of free throws. Like
that's fair.
I don't have any interest in that. And I also don't like that makes me uneasy because if they're getting to the free throw line, it's going to be easier for them to score in the fourth quarter. There's going to be guys in foul trouble.
Yeah.
And again, like free throws are literally going to be free points for them down
Now,
the stretch. It's not going to be fun.
let me ask you this. Is there any chance Toronto and or Brooklyn gets knocked out in the play-in? In your opinion?
Well,
Because it's one game. It's one and done. So that's really dangerous.
I'll say yes. And I mean, that's because Brooklyn has to play Toronto. One of them is going to play that first game. So then they'll really have their backs up against the wall in the second
That's
game.
true. I
Because
didn't even
somebody's
think
going to
about it that
lose.
way. So
That
then let me
doesn't
ask you
mean
this.
That doesn't mean I think they'll lose. I don't think Charlotte's any kind of joke, and obviously you can't really play around with Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's given the Celtics hell this year too. So
My thing is, and obviously this would be stupidly risky. If the Nets like fall to 9, then they theoretically don't have to play Toronto, right? I'm.
well, they wouldn't, but they'd be in the same spot. Like if you're the Nets, you're better off being at 8 because you get 2 chances to win instead of just 1.
Yeah,
So, like
yeah,
you're
that's fair.
saying, like they would fall to 9 to avoid playing Toronto. But
And
if
then if
they're at
Toronto
9,
loses, they'd still have to play
well,
Toronto.
not even that. If they're at 9, then they're in the same spot that they would be if they
Yeah,
lost to Toronto. It doesn't matter.
yeah. I know what you're saying. That 7 seed, the East is just so tough. It's so tough this year, man.
It is
It's
tough.
it's it's wild. It's wild
I'm
because
glad the Celtics are not like a powerhouse. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm glad they are not sitting at the top. I
why?
think in the middle is the sweet spot right now because if they were sitting at the top, they'd be at
Brooklyn
risk to
or
play Brooklyn in
Toronto?
the first round.
Brooklyn or Toronto? I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm
in the
not overly
middle,
concerned with Toronto in the first round. I know you are. Like I
yeah, I
said,
don't
I'll
want
see.
Toronto.
Let's see when they play again. But as of right now, I mean, the Celtics have taken care of business the last 2 meetings. Like they got blown out at home in the first one, whatever. Obviously not ideal,
Well,
but
because you make a good point. Because realistically speaking, at worst case, it's Sixers or Bucks. Best case, it's Bulls or Cavs for the Celtics in the middle. So I guess you're right. That
yeah,
makes a ton of sense. And out of those teams, if I'm ranking them, I'd least want to play Philly. I don't want to play Philly.
agree.
Next up, I would probably least want to play the Bucks and then the Bulls and then the
Yeah.
Cavs. Although again, based on
We
health,
got the
you
same
can put
ranks
both
on
those.
those. But it's
Yeah,
really like Philly and then at
yeah.
way down and
Milwaukee's
then
pretty far
Milwaukee
below.
and then a little bit and then the other 2.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, DeRozan's no joke though. I know,
No, he's
playoffs,
absolutely
whatever, but
not. No joke.
DeRozan's gonna be a killer too.
Good player.
I'm
And good
the
down the
Cavs.
stretch, which hurts and
Yeah,
is important for
the,
the playoffs.
the Cavs could pull something out. I'm not saying they could beat the Celtics. I think the Celtics could beat them, but the experience I think is just going to be too much for the Cavs. This will be a good, building year for them. I think in a few years the Cavs are probably going to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference again, like one or two. I really think they're going to be competing for a championship. But this year they don't have the playoff experience. Like realistically speaking, this is rookie year Evan Mobley, and he's already in consideration for a defensive team. Imagine third and fourth year he's going to be like dumb good. He's going to be
Right.
Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley is going to be top 5 big threes in the league in a couple of years.
And that'll be interesting because you're gonna see double bigs return. Like that's legit. That's
It's a
two
very
legitimate big guys that are gonna be playing next to each other, and probably, I mean, as of now, it's effective.
It's very similar to Boston's double bigs, except they're probably more versatile than Al is because you compare
At this
Robert
point, Al,
Williams.
yeah,
Yeah, I would compare Rob to Evan Mobley, although Evan Mobley's probably better than Rob. I would go
I mean,
out on a limb
that
and say
you're
he's better
comparing
than
those
Rob.
two. See, I think you would compare Rob to Jared Allen because their games are similar, and then Horford and
I
Mobley are the more versatile of the two.
I don't think so because I think I see Mobley as the more free safety kind of defender as Rob
Okay,
plays. You know what
yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
fair.
But,
Yeah,
I mean, you
and
can compare
Horford always
either.
has the big man assignment. You're right. Yeah,
And
you're
Horford,
right.
and as much as it sucks to think about, Horford gets smoked by either of them, in my opinion. I like he's just not gonna be the better. He's not better than Allen. He's not better than Mobley at this point.
Well, Allen's an all-star, and Mobley's probably rookie of the year, so it's no joke.
That's a debate too. The debate.
Who are the
is,
other?
do you go
Let's
after
see. So it's Mobley,
Cade, Scotty,
Kate,
Franz, and Josh Giddey.
Scott. I think Scotty's the only other one that should get considered out of
Some
those
people
three.
are saying Cade because of counting stats.
I don't. Well, you know me. I don't care for that. I think
that's the
the
thing. I
Cavs
agree
are
with
playing
you,
amazing basketball in part thanks to Mobley,
but
and
that's
the
never been a thing
Raptors
with
are.
Rookie of the Year. You know what I'm
It's
saying? Like
not, but
that's very rarely a thing.
It's not because it's usually never the chance to be a thing. Those guys are usually drafted to poor situations.
That's fair.
Toronto
I think it
has
is
Scotty
Mobley.
Barnes, who has been a piece for them, and Mobley, who was drafted to a bad situation, right? Like the Cavs were not good last year.
Yeah,
and that team is all of a sudden.
I agree with you. I think Mobley is Rookie of the Year. I'm just presenting the argument. Briefly looking out west, since we already talked about the Eastern Conference playoffs a little. I don't think we talked about how 1 through 8 could potentially come out of the East if like things go their way. It's not like that in the Western Conference in the slightest. I think realistically
I'm
speaking,
happy about that.
I think realistically speaking, there are still 4 to 5 teams that could potentially come out. Obviously, it's very unlikely for some of them, but I think the Suns obviously have the best chance to come out of the West. The Warriors still could. Their chances are shrinking, in my opinion, by the day. They've been up and down a little bit. The Grizzlies have a chance, but they're still young. I don't think the Jazz have a chance. I'm very out on the Jazz. You remember my preseason predictions? I had them 5th. I'm out on the Jazz. I don't think they're good. They don't mean anything. I think the Mavericks and the Nuggets both have potential to make a run too.
The
Nuggets.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Jamal Murray could be back in April. Michael Porter Jr. could be back in March. If they get those 2 guys back, man.
Celtics better get out there and play them before dudes start coming back. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, they haven't been to Denver yet, have they?
No.
I
I
don't think so.
I swear.
I don't think so. They played. Let's see. They played Utah.
No, they played Denver on the 20th,
lost.
March 20th.
Okay. Well, they better get themselves out there.
I think Porter Jr. will be back then, but I don't think Jamal Murray will be. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the Nuggets play. I think they're a team to watch. The Mavericks are scary now too, low key. They're 19-7 in their last however many games that is in 2022.
Get to see them in a couple weeks.
Do you know what it is? Dinwiddie and Bertans, right? Stunk. They were bad, right? Straight up bad. Dinwiddie shooting 46% from 3 instead of joining Dallas.
Oh my gosh.
And Bertans, listen to this. Listen to the stat I found. He's playing 17 minutes a game in the last 6 games, and he's shooting 7 threes a night in 17 minutes. And he's making 39% of them.
Oh jeez, I'm not prepared for that. Like, I'm not going to
It's the Luka
watching
effect.
that, man.
That's the Luka effect. Luka's.
I mean, good for those guys. Good for them. Like, I don't mind seeing guys go and succeed.
And you want to know the worst part?
Not when they're playing the Celtics. Take the
You want
day
to know the
off.
worst part? Worst part is they're a good defensive team too.
It's not bad for me, man. If you're in the Western Conference and you're not the Lakers, go raise hell. I couldn't care less.
How about them Lakers too? How about
I
them?
know. Who could have told you that?
Bro, it's not like I know you said they would be bad, but like realistically speaking,
I didn't say
did
they'd be
you
this
even think?
bad.
Yeah, like
I,
this is
I
even
I
low
wasn't
for
bold
you.
enough. I didn't think they'd be any good. I didn't think they'd compete for a title. I
I
didn't
feel
think it
like
would be like this.
I don't think I asked you for a record at the start of the season, but I feel like I did. You probably would have said probably like a couple games above 500, right? Like 43 and 39 or something like
Yeah,
that. You
like I
probably would
thought
have
they would have
predicted.
been really like painfully average.
This is bad. This is
It's
really bad.
fantastic. This
I
is
know you love it.
truly fantastic. I am
They got
sitting
booed.
here
Did you see
watching the
that?
Lakers be bad and watching the Knicks be bad, and I truly could not be happier.
Did you see that? They got booed at
Good.
Staples Center or
First of all,
or whatever.
why is that a story? They lost to the Pelicans by 30. Like I'd hope
No,
the fans
no.
would boo them.
LeBron turned it over and they booed LeBron.
Good.
So
He
funny.
quits on the team like nothing, dude. Like
Well,
when they're
let's not
not
go
good,
that
it's
far.
everyone's fault except his. And when they
Well,
are good, it's always his credit.
in slight defense of LeBron, very slight, because you don't get much defense when you blow out a team like that. He played fine. He really just he had like 36 very efficient shooting, 7 and 9 or whatever the typical LeBron stat line is. Westbrook is so terrible.
Who
He
traded for
had
Westbrook? Who waved off the Buddy Hield trade and said, "Hey, get him instead"?
uh, that's such an
No
L.
sympathy. No sympathy out of me. You could have had a dude that fits with you perfectly, that loves to shoot threes, who's efficient. That's all he needs to do is run
See what
around, catch and shoot. And he said, "We'll take Westbrook. Thank you very
that was
much."
dumb. Do you see what Colin Cowherd said the Lakers should trade LeBron for this morning?
No. What did he say?
He suggested, if I can remember off the top of my head, he said, ship him to Miami, get back Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and 3 firsts. And I thought to myself, why in the hell would Miami ever do that?
Well, why would
Just,
Miami do that? For 2 reasons. One, the longevity doesn't make any sense. But in all honesty, if you're bringing in LeBron, the pieces you're sending out are the pieces you would want to have around
yes,
him.
yes, that makes them worse. I think that would make Miami worse,
Oh,
which
I
is
agree.
crazy. But yeah, I don't know. The Lakers are probably in the worst position out of any team in the league right now. And I don't think that's crazy to
Hmm.
say. I mean, tough.
Well,
That is what it is.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of anybody that I might think might be a worse position. Definitely
Uh,
not OKC or Houston. They have draft picks. The Knicks are in a tough spot. I will say that.
yeah, but at least they have RJ, right? At least you have RJ Barrett, right? Like, if we're talking potential
Yeah.
saviors of the team, you're comparing RJ Barrett to what? Talon Horton Tucker? Like, that's
Speaking of the
laughable.
Lakers, they just waived DeAndre Jordan and
Oh,
signed
dude,
DJ Augustine.
that is too funny. Do you want to know why that's funny, Sam? I don't
Would
know
you
if you
write
saw
about
this.
it?
No. This clip last night. Hold up.
Oh, of
They waived
DeAndre. Yeah,
him
no. I know what you're talking about. He throws the ball into like
passing
the
the
fifth
ball out of.
row. Yeah. They said that's enough. They
Uh,
said, okay.
wow,
I
that's
wonder if he's going to
crazy.
find a spot on some team.
It wouldn't surprise me if he goes to like, oh gosh, I don't know, because I was gonna say the Bulls, but they just got Tristan Thompson, which he's been fine for them, right? He's fine.
DeAndre Jordan could have been an interesting, like fourth string big for the Celtics if they wanted to have him
Yeah,
around for Rob Williams.
I like Luke Cornett more than DeAndre
Oh, I'm
Jordan.
not saying I'm like jumping over the moon for. I'm just thinking like, oh, like it
Yeah,
could have made like a little bit of sense if they really wanted that, but
yeah.
they don't have
It
the slots.
sucks.
They have
It sucks the Lakers didn't buy him out like 2 weeks earlier because we're talking about like the Bucks got Serge Ibaka, the Bulls got Tristan Thompson. He could have found a team, but now he probably won't end up going anywhere. I mean, the Warriors maybe pick him up off the scrap heap for
that would be a
nothing.
Warriors move. Warriors are fire. They love
Yeah.
their big dudes that aren't any good.
Past that, Timberwolves maybe could use backup big. I don't think he'd get many minutes. The Nuggets already have Cousins. Cousins looks great for them. Shout out to Marcus Cousins. Shout out Boogie. Maybe we'll go back
Need a
to
big day
Dallas.
out of the Wolves tonight. They have Cleveland.
They do. That they do. Cleveland without Darius Garland and Karis LeVert. So that brighten your day a little bit. There you go.
I'd love to
But
see that.
yeah, I mean,
Where's
I'm excited
Minnesota
for
in
the
the
rest of the season.
standings in the West? Are
They're
they
3
eighth?
games above 7th. They're 3 games above
Oh,
500, 1 game ahead of
good
the
for
Clippers,
them.
who are in 8th. Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, from Minnesota's perspective, they're on top of the world. So they're not a
Yeah,
bad team this year. They're
it's
fun,
their best
but
season they've had in a while. Good for them.
it is. Yeah, seriously. I mean, shout out. Respect. It's hilarious that the Clippers are better than the Lakers right now. I think
It's
that's
fantastic.
too funny. It's great. Lakers
Not
also
only
intend to sign forward Wenyen Gabriel to a two-way contract. Gabriel's good. I mean, he's not going to do much, but he's scrappy. He'll play some defense, which is something they need. What was I going to
well,
say?
the best
Celtics
part
made
about
a new.
the Clippers and the Lakers, before we move on,
Yes, yes,
is
yes,
that the Clippers have two of their two best guys on the shelf.
yes. Three,
I mean,
three of their three best guys. Norm
who's
Powell's
the
hurt
third
too.
dude? Oh, Norm
Powell's
Powell.
injured.
That's right. He hurt himself. Yeah, but the Lakers have all these dudes playing for him, getting paid
Well,
millions and
AD's
millions of
hurt, so
dollars.
you got it. AD's hurt, which I mean, it definitely doesn't
Well,
help, but
he's
they're
been
still
like
bad.
that's his thing. Is he gets hurt?
Hey, at this point, it's Kawhi's thing too. Like, let's keep it a stack. Let's.
That's true.
Um, in other news, Celtics signed a new player, Sam.
Yes,
Uh,
they poached him from the
Atlanta
Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah, Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan. In all seriousness, Matt Ryan, former college teammate of Aaron Nesmith, played with him for 1, maybe 2 years at Vanderbilt. After he transferred there, he played at 3 different colleges in his career, so he's a little bit older. He's 24 right now, averaging 18.6 points in the G League, shooting around 38, 39% on, I think, 9 attempts a night in the G League. So he's a shooter, 6'7". I was talking in the Celtics blog Slack. Uh, Someone mentioned he was more of a wing versus Sam Hauser. He's more of a stretch four. So another potential wing shooter. I mean, this is something I talked to you about a couple weeks ago. Grab one of these younger guys who can shoot, maybe potentially space the floor for Tatum and Brown down the line if you develop them right. Give them some run with the main Celtics. You know, it is what it is. I don't think much of it. I don't know if you have any thoughts. I don't. I doubt you've watched much of his games, but
No, I mean, as like much as it kind of sucks, like it's good that they're bringing in these guys that are all like
yeah,
young. They, it's like it's almost like extra draft picks that you could hit on. Like you could say, "Oh, this guy fits really well with us." I mean, you got
yeah.
to start blowing some teams out so you can give them some run. I was kind of shocked they didn't give either of the new signings they had signed earlier in the week a little bit of run against the Nets. They didn't, so it is
They
what it
did
is.
against the Pacers. They did against very
Oh, they
briefly,
did.
very,
They
very,
look
very
okay.
briefly.
Anything
I
interesting?
I I turned it off at that point, if I'm being
No,
honest
fair
with you.
enough. Well, at
Yeah.
least they got some run. I mean,
Yeah.
I personally would
Ah,
have loved them to bring in Isaiah Thomas just because I love
what
the storyline. But
I was gonna say, they brought in Isaiah Thomas's teammate instead of Isaiah
yeah,
Thomas.
they did.
Very
That
funny.
they did.
What I was gonna say, I turned the ball off right after Aaron Nesmith airballed a 3 in
Oh,
garbage
that's
time, and
good.
I was like, "Nope,
That
that's that
well,
for me."
that's fantastic.
Like, I know
Oh
you're
man,
coming in cold. You're coming in cold, but airball, like, come on, bro. Come on, Aaron.
Neesmith,
Uh,
man.
Tough look. Tough look.
At least Pritchard's been playing pretty good. He's been solid since the break.
Pritchard looks really good. I
Obviously, he
think
was
you're gonna
huge in the
see
Pistons game.
I think you're gonna see him and Tice flexing as that 9th man in the rotation come playoff time, depending on the
Yeah.
matchup, which is good. Horford not playing also definitely hurt the Celtics. We didn't talk about that. I mean, it is what it is. You give him rest. It's fine.
Yeah,
Back
I
to back.
mean, you would hope they could take care of business without Horford, but yeah,
It's not
the
an
things he
excuse.
brings
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
just saying.
table, he's obviously a good defender. I think it helps
Yep,
bringing Grant off the bench rather than starting him. It's just
I
it's
agree.
what he's been accustomed to and has succeeded in. And it almost feels like every time they start him, he doesn't play as well just because his role's different.
Yes. I will say
So
Grant only ended up taking 1 3, I believe. He didn't shoot ball much, but played good defense. I mean, some of the shots went in, but he was playing really good defense the other day. Had a clutch block. It is what it is. And in the grand scheme of things, 9-2 in February, that's a pretty damn good month, right?
8 and
Like
2.
8-2? I thought it was 9. I saw 9. No?
We did the predictions and mine was 9-1,
We
yours was
did
8 and
it
2.
we did it after the start of February though,
Okay.
didn't we?
All right. Well,
I
9 and
believe.
2 is not bad.
So,
Not a bad
it's
month.
a good month. It is what it is.
Should have
In the
been
grand
11
scheme of
and 0,
things,
but
yes.
it
My thing
happens.
is, if you think about it from the perspective of, oh, what am I trying to say? If those losses were Philly and Denver, we wouldn't be complaining, right? It just sucks that they were, Detroit and Indiana.
I would rather have it be the way it is than with
I agree.
losses to those two
I was
teams.
gonna say this. Yes,
Those
I agree
those
with you.
wins are like validation wins. Like, all right, like you can
Yes,
bang with the
yes,
big boys. If you're just beating up
and
on like the bad teams, like, all right, cool, but show us something. Like I was
and I
harping
will
on
say
that in January when I was like pass the exam, and they started doing that. So it's good for them.
yes, I will say that 48-point win over the Sixers felt just immaculate. That was
Yeah, it
cream of
was
the
really
crop.
great. And I mean, I got nervous in the second quarter because Philly was kind of chipping away. But then after that, it never even got like within 15. Like
Mhm.
that's how foot on the gas.
They're up by
They
60
need
at
to
one
like
point, right?
I don't know if it was 60. It was
I think they
they were
did
up
get
at
up to 60.
50. No.
Let me go to. I'm pretty sure
No, they definitely didn't. It was 50 they got to, and then they only won by
it was
48.
very close. Hold up, when was this? Do you remember the date by any chance?
It was
Was it before or
mid-February.
after the Super Bowl?
It was definitely
After the Super
after.
Bowl. Oh gosh, I need to find it now. That was the Pistons
Harden had been
game. Very
traded. It was after
specific.
the deadline.
I got it. It is. Nets say Coach Steve Nash will not coach tonight's game versus Toronto due to health and safety protocols. Jacques Vaughn will take over. Here's some news.
Now, can Kyrie play in this
So
Toronto game? I know they're strict with the vaccines up there.
51, by the way. And no, Shams tweeted out, you were right, 51. Shams tweeted out, while the mayor is lifting
Oh, I
public
saw this.
mandate,
The mayor's fire. He said, hell
the
no. And he also came out and said, finish what you're saying, because I guess if you're listening,
it
you don't know.
it doesn't have to do with the mayor. The mayor said he wants Kyrie to play because he wants to win a championship.
Yeah, but he
The
said, I'm not going to
private
make an exception just for him.
Yeah. The private sector still won't allow him to play in home games, although he can attend the arena as a spectator, but he can't play in games still. So as
That
far as
doesn't
I
make
know,
any
he can't
sense to
play.
me, but I'm all for it.
It doesn't make sense to me either. It's like
I'm
if it
all
was
for it.
if it was any other player, like I think you would agree with me, but it's kind of bullshit. Like it's kind
No,
of
it's bullshit,
a
but I'm
little
all
whack.
for it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
If
But
he was on the
yeah, so
Celtics and like he was getting this kind of thing, I'd be irate. But he's
yeah,
not.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Celtics 9-2 in February. And it's the end of the month, so you know what time it is, Sam.
Is it March
I
predictions?
It is March predictions. I got all the games here. They've got
I
14
love
games
this.
in March. I'll
Busy
read it.
month.
I'll read it through. Do you want to go one by one, or do you want me to read it through and then we'll go?
We'll go one by one.
All right. So March 1st, today when you guys are listening to this, but as we're recording it, it game is tomorrow. March 1st versus the Hawks at TD Garden.
They
What are
should
you
win.
going?
I
agree.
will say this. I won't be shocked if they lose because Atlanta's played them really tough this year, and the one game they beat them, John Collins didn't play. But the way they've played lately, the magnitude of the game, it being at home, I expect them to win.
I agree. And for what it's worth, John Collins is doubtful for the game in Boston.
Okay,
So
well,
there you go.
now they really should win.
And
But
yeah, for those listening, Sam usually goes by should the Celtics win, and I usually go by will the Celtics win. I also think they will win tomorrow, but just a precursor to how things work. March 3rd at TD against the Grizzlies.
this is going to be a fun
There you
one. I hope. I hope
It,
it's
it
fun.
will be.
I think they should win because they're at home and they've been playing well lately. But again, I won't be surprised if they lose. Memphis is a very good team. Ja's a very good player.
Yeah.
Desmond Bane, I'm sure, will have something for the Celtics as they traded him to dump Cantor's salary. But
Yeah.
I think they should win. I think they should be able to take care of business. It's another one of those kind of test games that they've been showing up for lately.
Yeah. I think it'll be a loss. I think it'll be a hard fought loss, but I mean, Grizzlies they're nasty, so
They're
you
a
can't
good
win them
team.
all, and I think that'll be a tough one. Yep.
I think they
March
should be
6th.
able to do it, but I won't be surprised.
I agree. March 6th at home versus the Nets. Kyrie will probably play. Doubt Simmons or Durant will play, but you never know.
No, Durant's going to play.
Yeah. Oh, he will?
He's going to play.
Okay.
Bruce
what are you
Brown
thinking?
said they asked him like if Durant would play. They were talking about Durant. Bottom line is they said he's not going to play tomorrow. He's looking for Thursday to be the target date. And Bruce Brown said he doesn't even look hurt. So he's going to play Sunday.
Okay, so what are you thinking then?
I don't think they're going to win. I
Okay.
think they'll drop that one, unfortunately.
See, I think they'll win that one. I think it'll be
Really?
a good test
With
game.
KD, have they beat the? Yeah, they have because they won the playoff game with
I think it'll be a
Tatum.
good test game, and in my predictions, I have them coming off a loss to Memphis, and I don't think they'll drop 2 in a row here too many times down the stretch, so
I don't
I
either,
think
but
they'll bounce back at home.
I hope
I
so.
think they'll bounce back.
I hope I'm wrong.
And I think that's the type of game that they'll say, "Okay, we could see this team in the playoffs. We've gotta be ready. Let's step it up here." So, yeah. There you go. March 9th at the Hornets in Charlotte.
They should
What are
take
we
care of
thinking?
business. Hornets been ice cold lately.
I agree with you. 11th versus the Pistons, as we know, probably gonna be a tough one regardless, but
I mean, figure it out. Figure it out. Pistons are not a good team. They might not be a horrible team like we thought,
yeah.
right? But you need to
Scal
take
loves
care
him
of
if he
business.
listens.
You are in a playoff race. You need to win the winnable games. Especially Jack and I are split on a couple losses heading up. Very well could drop. They could lose 3 games in a row. Make it 4 in a row if you count the Pistons. They could lose all these games this week.
Pacers,
If
yeah.
they
They
Yeah,
could.
I mean, figure it out. If the Pistons
Yeah.
are in your building, figure it out.
I have a win against the Pistons as well. 13th versus the Mavs, KG night. What are you thinking?
They better win because I'll be there. I spent good money to be there. I didn't really
Oh, you
spend the money
paid
to
the
see
big bucks.
them. Yes.
You paid the
But
big bucks.
I
Oh,
I
man.
think they need to take care of business. I think they should win. It is a momentous day. That being said, they
Yeah.
shit their pants on Paul Pierce Day a couple years ago. Like you said, the Mavericks have been playing really good basketball, but
Who'd they play that
I'll
game?
I'll
Paul
put the
Pierce Day.
green glasses on. I'll say they'll win.
Who'd they play on Paul Pierce Day?
Cavs. And it was right
Oh, was
after
that
the
Karis?
trade deadline, and they blew them out. It was horrible.
Uh, Not great. Not great. March 16th in Golden State against
What
the
do you
Warriors.
have for that?
I said a win. I think they'll beat
A
the
win.
Mavs. I don't think they'll let Luka get them again.
And
16th at
Luka's
Golden
moving on the
State.
list, man. At Golden
Mm.
State, they're not winning.
You think it's a loss?
Well, let's think about this rationally. I love my Warriors too. The LeBron stoppers over there. But
Yeah.
the Warriors haven't been elite lately. I also think the Celtics typically play the Warriors very well. I still think they'll lose, but I think that game is gonna be what you think the Memphis game is gonna be. I think it's gonna be a hard fought loss.
Okay. I think they'll
I
beat
would
the
love to be
Warriors.
wrong.
Mhm. I think they'll beat the Warriors. I think they can go in there and win. It'll be
If
tough,
they do, it'll
but
be big.
yeah, I think they can take the game. 18th at Sacramento. Let's hear it, Sam.
They better win. They better beat that bum Sabonis.
Yep, I agree with you there. 20th in Denver. In Denver. What are you thinking?
They should win.
Okay.
I think
See,
it's a tough
I'm
game. I
I'm
don't
gonna have
think the
that one as a
schedule is any
loss.
kind of joke. Go ahead.
Mhm. I was just gonna say I'm having that one as a loss. I think that's where their win streak will end. I think Jokic will get the better of them in Denver. You playing a mile high. That's tough. MPJ should be back. They'll probably be on a roll by then. So I'm gonna go with the tough loss there, which it is what it
Okay.
is. 21st at OKC. I'm just gonna write it down right now.
You should win that game. This is
I
not a
agree with
month
you.
like February. You have a lot of difficult games. You better win the ones that are easy.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
The longer
Uh,
we go in these predictions, the worse I feel about Sunday's loss.
yeah, very tough. Sunday's loss was tough. It is what it is. 23rd versus Jazz.
This is at
TD
the Garden. They
at
should
TD.
win. Utah's been playing not as well lately. At least I
Mhm.
think so.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is a game that should leave a bad taste in your mouth. That
Yeah.
absolute ridiculousness of a game that you saw in Utah, where they probably played close to a perfect game. Utah did.
Yeah. They played very well. I have that as a win as well. At TD against the Timberwolves
You
on the
should win
27th.
that. Take care of it.
Yep.
Should win.
I agree. I think that's the trap game of the month, though. I think
You
that's a
do?
trap game. I think that's a trap one because they're not a bad team, but they present as a bad
If
team
I had to
because
pick
you
a
got the
trap game,
Wolves.
I'm saying it's Sacramento.
That's fair. That's fair. I think the T Wolves is probably the trap game to watch out for. That or the Thunder, just because the Thunder are not a good team, but they play really hard, and they're the second best defense this year, in
Really?
2022. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
behind the
Yeah.
Celtics, they're the second in 2022 this calendar year. Yes.
Well, now I feel like you
28th,
put too much weight into these stats.
28th at Toronto.
All right. I'm gonna say it. They should win. They
Yeah.
should win. They should be able to
Okay.
beat the Raptors. I think that arena's gonna be empty. I don't know if they've changed that yet.
I don't know if they have yet. I don't know if they will,
They
but
just let Drake in,
it
and
has
that's it.
been
And he
empty.
can sit with Ujiri there.
Is that what happens? That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, he just sitting with the GM,
Love to see it.
chatting it up.
Beast. Last
They
game of the
they
month.
should be able to win that one. They should. That's a
I
game they
agree.
should get up for.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Last game of the month at TD against the Heat.
Mm. See, this is another game.
Yep.
I think I'm going to say they should win this one too. I think it is a letdown spot if they beat Toronto, right? But this is another one they should get up for.
Okay. I have a loss in that game because you can't win them all. The Heat are tough. They'd split the season series at that point, right? No, would they win the season series or split it?
Celtics win the season series regardless.
Okay.
They only
Yeah,
got
I
3
think that'll be a
games.
loss. I think that'll be a loss. I think it'll be a tough loss, but
It
you
very
can't
well
win them
could
all.
be a
So
loss, but I think they should be able to win. I just think
I think they
anytime you're
should.
at home, you should be able to do it.
They should be. They should be.
Unless
But
you're playing
I
KD,
think it'll
who
be a
I
tough one.
immediately said they would lose to.
Yeah. All right. So Sam, you have them going 12-2. I have them going 11-3. High praise.
Jeez. Oh wow.
Uh,
We both have them like big, but we have a but like combined, like we have like a bunch of different games we said they could lose.
Yeah, if they lose every single game, either one of us projected to be a loss, that wasn't unanimous, they'll end up going 9-5, which still isn't
Yeah.
bad, but it's obviously not ideal. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. But out of all of these games that they could lose, I mean, we'll go through, or could in the sense that they're playing a really team. Hawks could very well be a loss. They play the Celtics well. Grizzlies, Nets, Hornets, and Pistons, they should be able to take care of business. Mavs, Warriors, Kings, they should take care of business. Nuggets, Jazz, Raptors, Heat. It's a very hard month. This is probably their second hardest month of the schedule behind December, which was brutal. So this is a huge test month, like you're saying earlier for the Celtics. So I'm excited. I mean, it'll be very good basketball, or it should be at the very least. So it'll be fun
Yep.
from that perspective. As much as I love the blowouts, you also like to see the close ones and see the Celtics battle it out.
Like to see them
So
win some close ones
we'll
for
see.
sure.
Exactly.
And I'm with you on the
And
test month. Like leading up to the playoffs, this is huge. We are all I think we're all aboard the train now. I certainly am. I think they can do it. I think they
some
can be
people are.
competitive.
Most people
I
are.
don't know. Are you?
I
Are you
am.
aboard?
I think they can be really good.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm looking at my
So
Twitter
all of
DMs
us
and
at
I'm seeing
Bannertown here, we are on the train.
yes.
Don't derail the damn train, please. This is a lot of fun, and we're gonna see if our tickets are valid. That's what we're gonna see.
Hopefully.
We're plenty of competition. Show up, and I think they've mastered that, except for yesterday. They have mastered showing up. They have played pretty well. Even the Pistons game, it's not like I wouldn't say the loss and then the close one were because the Celtics didn't show up. I think the Pistons overperformed in both games.
Yeah, Celtics weren't fully there, but it wasn't the bad, the worst.
The second one they found a way, which was impressive. Anytime they have a game where they find a way to win is always enjoyable for me.
And Peyton Pritchard was that way. Shout out PP. Beast.
He's been fantastic.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see him get more.
Yes, sir. Hopefully. But yeah, that's all I had. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to bring up briefly, but
no, I think I'm okay. I'm hungry, man. We got food downstairs, so
there you go. We'll get out of here then. Shout out Markelle Fultz. He's back in the court today.
Is
random,
he?
but Markelle Fultz is playing for the Magic today. Good for Markelle Fultz.
Is he technically a former Celtic? Because that was their pick, or no?
Nah, I don't think so. Not really. Maybe
we
can root for
with
him,
Danny Ainge.
Yes, he did. We can root for Markelle Fultz though. The 1-6.
Yeah, no reason not to.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. As Sam will tell you, you can follow us on all the socials, but I'll let him take over from here.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much for listening or watching. We always enjoy doing the shows for you. Fun day to do it today. Obviously, had a fun month of basketball to talk about. If you enjoy, you can subscribe to us on YouTube at Bannertown or at Guy Boss or both. And if you do Guy Boss, you'll see us on the pre-games, an assortment of Jack, myself, Tim, and KJ. Always a fun bunch. You can subscribe to the podcast if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. You can follow Jack at Jack's1NBA. Check out his Celtics blog stuff. He's always on there, very active. If you're upset in an article, there's a very good chance he wrote it. You can follow Bannertown at Bannertown USA, and you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's also
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.